guys! So today I have something that is a little bit vulnerable that I wanted to share. You see, in some of my past videos, I shared about why it is so important for people who resonate with being a light worker to actually share their voices. However, what I can tell you that while it is really important and I really hope that more light workers share their voices, it also is not an easy journey. And I want to share about a little bit about my business because some months ago I started my business, Blooming Feminine Academy. So I basically have digital courses and then one-on-one sessions, and I help other women navigating through challenges when it comes to dating, breakups, and long-term relationships. However, when I started my business, I also started to create videos and content on YouTube, on Instagram, and TikTok. And at the beginning, I felt this confidence, let's get it started. I can do this. I am an Aries, and Aries are really motivated to start things. However, as soon as I started, I start to find myself doing one of the bigger inner works that I have been doing recently. So basically, as I started this online presence, I started to have all these doubts starting to, simmer within me. Because, I was starting to post videos online. And then I was doing it daily, basically. But then I was realizing that, okay, I am starting to gain a little bit of interaction and, views and even likes and etc. However, am I really doing it right? So, what I started doing, like many people, is to start learning from others, like posts, podcasts, YouTube videos on how to have more engagement and how to post content properly on social media. In other words, I was trying to figure out the algorithm, to figure out what pleases the algorithm and what it means to create a good hook that can hook people's attention so that they watch the video for more than 2-3 seconds, whatever. And when I started this journey, everything started to spiral into this chase, really, of how do I film this, what should I say, how should I talk about things, and etc. etc. And what happens is that I gradually found myself fitting into this mold of what I believe would really get myself more views and interaction from users. And of course, when you start a channel and your social media presence, it takes time. And Rome wasn't built in a day. And I heard that many YouTubers, for example, that nowadays has a lot of followers, they had to post videos every day for a year or two before they get anything. But of course, as an Aries, I wasn't really this patient with the progress. Then I was starting to think, okay, is my video not really working? Should I tweak and say things like this and that and etc.? And I found myself going into this less and less authentic space where I would, for example, use like words like, oh, you have to be ruthless with your standards in dating. You have to be like this and etc. And you see, what I truly believe is that, for example, when it comes to dating, many men, they have a hard time to commit to a woman, even if he loves her, has a lot to do with outside circumstances, like for example, if he has an unstable life, unstable career, or if he has past traumas in relationships and all the baggages, all the fears, etc. So if I were to be more authentic, I would say I would talk more about this instead of using the wordings of, oh, you have to be ruthless with your standards. Can you see what I am trying to explain? Like these nuances. And I started to find myself going with these wordings, tweaking how I should create the content, etc., etc. And then increasingly frustrated with the snail progress that was going. And I was like having a lot of self-doubt eventually because I know that what I learned and what I researched and my personal experiences on relationships, etc., they do have a value and can help other women. But the problem was that when I started the business, and then I started to fit into this mold, now I am in this energy of wanting to convince others why they should choose me as their mentor, why they should choose my digital courses. And of course, like this kind of energy is not authentic. And I was feeling this inner ick, really. Like when I was filming videos, sometimes I would like feel this something isn't really, feeling good. And then it was like some weeks ago then, when I was starting to look at my past content, as I was wondering, okay, how do women actually feel about my content if a woman were to feel desperate with her dating situation, or for example having chronic fights with her husband or boyfriend, and she wants someone to help her? Like, how would she feel if she were to find my content? And then I was looking at my content and I was like, oh no, this actually feels like a turn off, because it feels like, one of those TikTok advices that is like more catchy than more authentic and resonating. And needless to say that I wasn't happy with it. And then I started to really change. Like, no, I actually want to have my voice back, or my authentic voice. Like, where is it? And I want it to be more me. I want to bring more me into this business, because if it is not something that is authentic, and if it is not something that I really enjoy doing, then why am I having the trouble to initiate the business and not just simply stay with my daytime job, really? Because that would be consistent. I have consistently my salary. I also have headaches. But if I am going to create a business which is like additional headache because I'm not authentic and I try to fit in the mold, then what's the point, right? And I want to reach women in the way that I really believe it's valuable. And what I always believed, like one of my core values about relationships, is authenticity. Because I don't personally believe that if you are not authentic, then you are just interacting with each other's masks and shadows, really. So for authentic relationship, whether it is romantic and whether it is with clients and therapists, if I am not able to bring in my authenticity, then how am I really having this genuine connection and relationship? And if this is an extra space for performance, really, then what's the point? What's the fun? And I want my life to be fun and meaningful. So I started to change the aesthetics and bring more of me, really. And initially, I might feel a little bit hesitant because, I have this aesthetics that is more artsy, that is more artistic, because I have this inner girl that is like, feathers, like artsy stuff and soft. And when I bring in like And I was thinking, okay, but what if the women that might come to me and want to have this support about relationships, what if they don't really resonate with it? What if they don't resonate with these aesthetics? Because if I compare my own aesthetics to other dating coaches, to other dating mentors, relationship mentors, feminine embodiment teachers, my aesthetics is a little bit different, is a little bit like artsy. I don't know how to explain. Maybe you can check out my website, my content, my business Instagram, Blooming Feminine Academy, and you can see for yourself. But the thing is that, okay, am I appearing too soft? Am I appearing too artsy? But the thing is, I want to support women. Like one of my core things in my business is about tapping into your own unique feminine essence, your unique feminine flavor. And here I am, being afraid of bringing in my own essence, my own flavor, my own artsy style. So it was like a wake-up call, like, okay, I want to do this. I genuinely want to bring in this artsy style into my Instagram. And then I was, figuring out like, this is who I really am. And, since then, since the past few weeks, I have been still figuring out like, so who am I really? Who am I really, and what kind of business I want to really bring in? So it started to, so I changed the aesthetics, but then it still was marinating inside of me. Then recently, I came across a person who helps other women with their social branding, like with their business branding, really positioning. And she started to help me analyze, actually, initially for free, to understand, like help me understand where might be the weakness and where might help change things. So we got on a call, and then she told me, your profile, you have to bring more of you, and then it's about eliciting this and that and etc. But somehow something was not landing. Like, I mean, there are things that she presented that was actually useful and helpful for me to understand. That might be confusing for other women when they see my work, and they might not understand fully about my work. And it was helpful. But then there were certain things that I felt, okay, is this actually going to lead me to fit into this mold of how a relationship coach, how a feminine embodiment coach looks like, rather than me? And then I was telling her, like, hey, I need a little bit of time to feel if this really resonates, if what she has to propose to help me would really resonate. And then, of course, it sent me into this deeper inner journey, really. Like, I was starting to think, like, somehow something is still bothering me about how am I showing up. And as I was thinking and thinking and thinking, and as I would actually, I realized that I didn't want to really fit into this mold of what a feminine coach or a dating coach should look like. And I was like, I just don't want it to be just another account, another business for this kind of things. So I was wondering, who am I really? And today, I actually had an epiphany finally. And I was finally able to grasp fully, like it was fully landing, like who am I really and what kind of business I really want to build. Because I want to be me. I want to bring in this vibe, this environment, this container for other women. And what I feel is that I want to relate to other women as a woman who went through things in my life, like a divorce, like childbirth, and then divorce, and then rebuilding my life, and all the things in between that I learned. And at the same time, how did I tap into my inner feminine essence, and how am I embracing my inner feminine, different parts of me, different flavors, and etc. And I want women to come to my container feeling that she is also embraced, that she's not just talking with another coach, another therapist, but woman to woman, like having an older sister that went through things and that can help her figure out. And not this woman, this coach that had everything figured out, that, oh, is married, have more kids, and is happily ever after. No, I'm actually in the middle of rebuilding my life. And I went through some relationships after my divorce. And I want to relate to another woman, that I am just another woman that went through things and learned a lot also. Of course, I'm also not just a simple another woman, because I went through this 2-year course on modern therapeutic practices, on shamanism, and then I also did my own extensive research, obsessive research on relationships, human psychology, human nature. So I want to bring both this teacher, this mentor, this coach, and the woman who is me, who is relatable, who is also on this journey and can help other women. And I don't want to fit myself so much in this performative mold that, oh, I have to be this relationship coach that has everything figured out already and all those things, because then it's like inherently conflicting with the values of authenticity and helping other women to really tap into their authentic essence. So, what I want to share here today with this video is that when you start a business, when you start a channel, when you start something and you use your voice and you expose yourself out there into the world, we often end up facing a lot of inner work that we did not expect to face. But at the end of the day, even if it might be hard at times, even if it might be, filled with insecurities, filled with, oh, I'm not sure if I can actually do it, and etc. What I can tell you is that it is still worth it. Because, even if we might take a longer time to succeed, and even if we might look back and then, oh my God, did I do this? Like, did I create this kind of content that is not so me, and etc. But it's still a journey, and the journey can be messy. But at the end of the day, you never know who you might inspire. What is the woman or man or people, like, or humans that might find your content useful and inspiring, and then they might feel like, okay, if she can do this, I might also be able to do this. And if she can be vulnerable and authentic, like right now I'm sharing this quite vulnerable situation, because maybe in many contents you see people already successful that they're sharing, like, oh, my journey, etc. But I'm still on the making, I'm still on the journey. And when we can be really vulnerable and here I am, this is me, and I hope that this can help you too. And this is what I bring with my heart, with all my heart to share. You never know how it can actually be helpful and healing for other people. So, my name is Monica, and I am really grateful for today to be able to share this really with this world. And I really hope that this can also help you who is watching this video to not worry so much about, oh, my journey has been like, I made mistakes, it's so hard, and I'm so scared of sharing my voice, because you never know what can happen. But if you never take the first step, then it's certain that nothing might really happen. But if you're willing to take the first step, you never know where it might lead you to. And I can tell you that ever since I started my business, sometimes I end up in places that I didn't know that I could end up with. And that is actually fascinating. For example, I ended up some months ago that someone invited me to a meet and greet online Zoom event where I got to contribute to help other women on their journeys about relationships, breakups, no contact. And I didn't really expect it, because I was actually in that community for another reason. But then actually the community host, he noticed, like he was curious about my business as I shared about it. And then he actually invited me eventually to give it a try with the event. And then I didn't expect to end up there, because when I joined the community, I joined it without the intention actually to like anything related really to my business. I was just looking for some guidances and a sense of belonging and a sense of understanding. And then also recently, I also ended up in places, events that I didn't expect. So we never know. But if we have the courage to start the journey and also continue the journey, we never know where it can lead to us. And there is this thing is that we are all channels of blessings for each other. So in a way, we will be supported by God, by life, the universe, and our spirit guides and guardian angels to be in places where we need to be to channel the blessings for other people. So with this belief, I trust that as long as I continue on this path, on this journey, and as long as I feel devoted to this journey really, without worrying so much on the how, then things will also unfold as long as I am devoted to it. So I hope that this content can help you. And if you have any, like if this resonates, and if you're also on the journey, or if you want to begin your journey, like you can share also in the comment section, and we can also talk about our journeys, exchange ideas, etc. Yeah, and stay tuned for the next week's YouTube episode, so that we can connect more and share more about different parts of the journeys.